We'll now move into our forum, and the first participant is Majella Bowden, the only daughter, and she's an editor and a linguist, and she joins us from Darwin.
What I wanted to talk about today is something that Dad was really passionate about, and something that will surely stir conflicting responses. This is something that Dad did a lot and didn't shy away from, and although I feel like I don't want to stir anything up, I know that this is what he would do. So I want to talk about the social imaginary, which is something that he was passionate about. And his thesis was titled Searching Algeta to Reveal the Cosmic Christ, a contribution to the dialogue between the ancient Aranda imaginary and Christianity. I want to tell you first a little bit about our relationship, me and Dad, and how we came to this point of writing this book, together. In the book, he talks about looking after my little son Levi and Mum at the same time and starting his PhD. It was actually when I stopped working and was on maternity leave and then home with my new baby, and Dad was home with Mum, and we were caring and living in this, extended family together, that the two of us began to really delve into some deep ideas. Every day we would spend, in the backyard over coffee, watching the kids, bringing back to the conversation things that we'd experienced, things we'd talked to other people about, our interactions, our readings. And this relationship began around his PhD. We then moved to Darwin after his diagnosis, and when he finished his PhD, I started my master's. And at this point, Dad was starting to lose his ability to talk. And so it was over my master's that we were able to continue to communicate with, chapters that I would send to him, and he would write back his comments and do his track changes, and the conversation, the dialogue continued to the point where Dad couldn't talk at all anymore. And we had reached such a point of consensus in our own minds that we knew what each other was thinking. So when it came time to writing the book, it was almost like we were in one mind. In saying that, we argued a lot. And one of the things that we argued about was this word imaginary that he used for years. He would use it with such, exuberance. It was this magical word that uncovered so much. And I would say, no, stop using that word. It's misleading. It makes people think the wrong thing. I know that you have a particular meaning for this word, but most people don't, and it's confusing. So it wasn't until not long before he went into palliative care that he'd be really struggling at night time, particularly with his throat. All of the neurons were breaking down, and it was affecting his mouth and his throat. And we were often very worried about him overnight. And I got a message one morning that said, I nearly died last night. My heart nearly jumped out of my chest. And I said, what happened? I texted him, what happened? And he wrote back and he said, Kathleen said that she won't support my book if I use the word imaginary. And I was like, yes, finally somebody with enough power to change your mind. And he said, I'm going to have to take it out of the book. I'm going to have to remove it. I can't have it in there. I need to have the stained glass window. I need Kathleen's support in this. And I believe that Kathleen was right, that it was not right to put the word imaginary into Unbreakable Rock. I think that word can be dangerous and it can be misleading when it's in the wrong minds, and it could be used to undermine Algeta. I just wanted to read to you, just out of the book, how Dad explained the use of this word. He says, Algeta, the focus of the book, is not a fanciful invention conjured out of the imagination, but rather a collective vision of reality, grounded in a people's experience of life as a social group, and summarises their goals and aspirations. Canadian scholar Charles Taylor describes this as the ways people imagine their social existence, how they fit together with others, how things go on between them and their fellows, the expectations that are normally met, and the deeper normative notions and images that underlie their expectations. A social worldview is understood as the product of a deep and considered thought over a sustained period. It is a social rather than a personal construct. And you can read more about that in the book when you buy it. So, but what I wanted to say was that I was very supportive of, Kathleen in that moment, and I worked with Dad to help to, find a substitute for the word, because he used it quite a lot, and we changed it to worldview most of the time. And it was funny though, because after he died, suddenly I was left with the book and I had to finish it. And I was doing all this editing and I was realizing that there was something missing. There was something that worldview didn't capture, and that it needed something a little bit more. And so I had a little bit of a searching of my own and a journey of my own in trying to understand what this word imaginary might mean. And I realized that it really is a powerful word, and that it might be one of the tools that we can use to look into what is mystery. Mystery is the unknown, and imagination is the way that we access mystery. So we use imagination when we look into the future. The future is, we do not know. We can only imagine what the future will be. We also use our imagination to picture what was, to look into the past, and, particularly in Central Australia, we imagine the footprints of the ancestors. We imagine those who have been before and the lives they lived. And we see the evidence of that written in the landscape. So on both sides, we have the use of this, this mental tool. It's really a spiritual tool to look into what was and what will be. Something that really hit home for me was when Nicole, who's here with us, showed me the painting that's in the book now of Honeymoon Gap that Mum and Dad had given to her for her wedding, which had taken place in Honeymoon Gap, a really special place in Alice Springs. And when I saw the painting that had been done by Therese all those years ago, I was immediately struck by how the trees in the riverbed were all young trees, the way that she had painted it. But that if you go to that place now, all the trees there are very old and gnarled and ancient looking trees. And I rang Therese and we talked about it, and I said, it's almost like you're painting that place 100 years ago when those trees were young, or it could be 1,000 years ago. It is a picture of a timeless place, that she didn't go down there and draw a picture of what was in front of her. She imagined the landscape as it was and could be. And so I thought that was a really powerful use of imagination in seeing country and seeing what is there. Another way of understanding it that David Woods actually suggested to me was about how each one of us might imagine our heart beating inside of our chest. Now we know our heart is there. We know it's beating. We know there's blood pumping through our bodies. But we use our imagination to picture our heart. We can't see it, but we know it's there. And I think that that's another really beautiful metaphor of Algeta, that Algeta is real. This is what Kathleen said. Algeta is real. And it's as real as your heart beating inside your chest. And in order to know it, you visualize the ancestors, you visualize the spirit, you imagine the roots of Ujeta running through and connecting all of us. And so I thought that I wanted to speak for Dad in this moment and to open this idea up because I knew how passionate he was about it. I know that people won't agree and they'll still think that it is misleading, as I think people have felt that the word dreaming is misleading, because dreaming can make you think like it's not important, it's just, you know, made up. But it's not. Dreaming is important, and it's about how we shape our understanding of those words. It's how we change our perspective on our own English words and the importance we give to those concepts in our lives. Imagination and dreaming are two words that I think we need more of. We need to be able to dream up a future where we are connected and in relationship. We need to imagine, reimagine our world, and with a boundless imagination where we can bring the concepts of Algeta into who we are as well. This story is an invitation to draw this into ourselves. The thing that really prompted me to talk about this was that I saw the woman Cori Bush, who has just been elected as the first Black woman from Missouri in the US Congress, and she was making her acceptance speech, and she said really powerfully, "Our America will be led not by the small-mindedness of a powerful few, but the imagination of a mass movement that includes us all." And I felt like if Dad had heard that, he would have grabbed it and he would have said, "Yes, that's it. That's what we're doing here. We're trying to bring in everyone and capture everyone's imagination and the spirit of Algeta and bring that gift out in everyone." So that's my little bit of grizz coming through that I just wanted to share with you all, and yeah, I hope you can take that with you.